when it comes to finding a product market fit is obviously you're going to find this thing, and we're going to talk about the 4 Ps in a second, but can you make a product for that market? You know, is it a course? Is it something coaching? Is it a workshop? Is it a book? I don't know. And then would they be willing to pay you for that? Really think through that.
Hi, I'm James Taylor, business creativity and innovation keynote speaker, and this is The Creative Life, a show dedicated to you, the creative. If you're looking for motivation, inspiration, and advice while at home, at work, or on your daily commute, then this show is for you. Each episode brings you a successful creative, whether that's an author, musician, entrepreneur, performer, designer, or thought leader. They'll share with you their journey, their successes, their failures, their creative process, and much, much more. You'll find show notes for this episode, as well as free training on creativity, over at jamestaylor.me. Enjoy this episode. Hey there, it's James Taylor, and I'm delighted to have on the show Travis Rosser. Travis is an internet entrepreneur, author, speaker, and software designer. After a decade in the software industry, he co-founded and then sold Kajabi, a knowledge capital platform that has helped customers redefine themselves as experts, free themselves from the traditional notions of a job, and lived more fulfilled lives. Since 2010, Kajabi customers have generated over $500 million in sales, and Kajabi has helped more than 10,000 people become knowledge entrepreneurs. His new book is called You Inc., and it's going to be a fascinating discovery into learning about that book and his latest journey and where he is on his journey. So Travis, it's lovely to speak to you again. We were trying to remember when the last time we kind of hung out together. We were down there in your beautiful Orange County, but a lot's happened since then. So tell me, what has got your focus on? What at the moment, what you focus on at the moment?
Well, thank you. This is so cool to be on your show again, because I really loved our time together this last, like however many years ago. It's funny because it seems like just a month ago, but I know that we had a great connection. It was a very good interview. So I'm so excited to be here today. And yeah, we're talking about my book, and the book basically is the story of about 20 Kajabi customers. And I'm going to talk about how they found their knowledge, how they sold it, how much they made, their failures, their successes. And then the book also tells my story of how did I ever come up with this idea for Kajabi? And hopefully by the end of the book, you'll realize that you have knowledge in you, and it's going to show you how to start sharing that and start a business, because it's powerful when you can take something you know and love and turn it into a profitable business.
Now, something you talk about in the book is, and I think this is something that a lot of entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs kind of forget, is they think, I have this passion for something. That should be it. That should be enough to be.
Yeah.
But you talk about in the book, you talk about these 4 Ps, these kind of interconnecting circles that you want to ensure. The more of these interconnections you have, the more successful and happier you're going to be in your entrepreneurial journey. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, I think you're referring to the purpose diagram, which I actually bookmarked in here because I want to make sure I say it correctly. I'll show it. So if they're watching video, they can see it. Of course, you can always go get the book, but we're basically going to talk about that right there. And it's 3 circles that kind of represent who you are. The first circle in the left is what you do. So it's your job. It's what you get paid for. It's what you're good at. It's what you went to school for. It's all those things that you provide to someone else, and they pay you in some kind of monetary value. The next one is who you are, which is kind of like, who are you? Like, for example, I'm a father, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a husband. I think I'm a pretty funny person. I'm loyal and honest and creative. Like, who are you? Understand who that is. And then the last circle at the bottom is, who do you serve? Like, who could benefit from who you are? And obviously in our job, it's simple. And then in our families, it's pretty simple. But the idea is in that middle right there, if you can see it, I know some of us are listening on a podcast, but basically in the middle where the circles come together, that's kind of your sweet spot. And you're going to discover your passions, your skills, your personality. When all that comes together in one place, it's super powerful. And it's funny because in the book, I'm always like stuck on P's. I don't know what it was when I was writing this book, but there's so many analogies with P's. And the next piece is called the 4 Ps. And that kind of helps you find that knowledge. So if you want, we can get into that, and I could share that next.
Yeah, but before you go into that, I mean, I think it's interesting where those interlaying kind of circles.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's interesting. When I coach a lot of speakers, and often
you'll see there's a little bit of a mismatch. It takes them a little while to get what I guess they would call in Silicon Valley the product market fit. But and sometimes you'll have some entrepreneurs or speakers who they have a background in something, and so they know there's a market there for it, but they're just kind of not really passionate about it. They think it's the thing that they should be doing because it's the obvious play. And then there's others who, and I see this more in speaking, where they have a real passion for something. It almost may align with their values and who they are, but it's not what we call, like say, a fundable speech. You just might call it this. It's not, someone is not going to pay you. You can go and give that speech for free day in, day out, but no one's going to pay you to kind of do that. So once we kind of figured that out, I'm like, okay, this is who I am. This is kind of what I've been doing, what I'm about, kind of my audience. Take us through those 4 Ps there.
Well, before we move on, let's talk about this, because this is really important to be in alignment with who you are as a person and connected to the right people, because when that happens, business is a lot easier. Things happen, magically, whether it's the universe or God, but when you're in alignment with who you were created to be, what you've been through, what you can provide to this world, and you're doing it with authenticity and a real love for that other person, powerful things happen. I know that in business, there's that term, fake it till you make it, which I hate, because then you find a lot of people that are successful and they're extremely fake. And I've been around those people and I hate that. But when you can find something you love, super love it, and it's like powerful, this is something you're going to work on day and night on it. You're going to get up early. You're going to work on it regardless if you make money at first. And you need that kind of like drive when you're starting a business. But the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to finding a product market fit is, obviously you're going to find this thing, and we're going to talk about the 4 Ps in a second, but can you make a product for that market? Is it a course? Is it something coaching? Is it a workshop? Is it a book? I don't know. And then would they be willing to pay you for that? Really think through that. Sometimes you'll start with yourself. Yeah, I would pay for that. Of course I would pay for that. But if you can't get those 3, you don't have a business. Just because you think that writing a book about alien cats or something is cool, and people actually might pay for that because that is kind of interesting.
There is probably a niche market.
There's probably a niche for that, but my point is, just because you love it doesn't mean that's the one you should do to try to make a business out of. You could do it as a hobby, but I don't always know if there's money. But here's this really cool thing I created called the 4 Ps, and everybody in the book is going to fall into this quadrant of the 4 Ps. And I don't have this drawn up, but imagine if you had a piece of paper and you drew 4 squares. You had 4 squares, and there's a P in every single square. And if we start at the top left, it's going to be profession. And that P is simple. It's obvious. It's business. I'm an accountant. I'm good at Excel. I know how to use Photoshop. I do branding. I do social media marketing. Like, that is kind of the go-to space. And it has been amazing, the stories that we've heard. And even like the incredible creative stories. Like there was a painter from Canada that was really good at paint matching. He is like a house painter. You hire him to come into your home, and he's great at picking colors. And that was like his sweet spot. Because you know how it is. You're going to paint a room and you're like, what color should I do? And then you pick a color and it sucks. This guy got really good at paint matching. And so what did he do? He didn't go out and shoot videos on how to do paint matching. No, he created videos and he taught other paint contractors how to do this. And it blew up. And he made 6 figures off of this on top of his regular business. So it's amazing how you can take what this talent or this gift you have and just share it. And sometimes there's a monetary value, and that's where it's powerful. The next P is passion. And passion is something you do for fun. It's golf. It's like my son plays ice hockey. It's flying drones. It's going fishing. It's the thing you would do for free. But people will also spend money, because what if you're really good at this thing? Or what if you have a unique trick? Like I met a guy one time that built an entire business out of taking Vaseline and rubbing it on the end of this looks really bad, but rubbing on the end of a golf club. I gotta describe this really quickly.
It's not one of those courses.
No, it's not one of those courses. It's actually like a legitimate like golfing hack, and you put it on the end of the club, and then when you strike the ball the next time, boy, this has all kinds of great funny analogies, but when you strike the ball the next time, it shoots it straight because of the friction has been reduced. He created a product around that, but can you imagine? He could have sold a $5 video on how to do it yourself, and that really is the whole power of Kajabi, is the ability to create a product that is digital, that you can deliver automatically. That was how come people made so many millions of dollars, because once you created an audience, even a small audience of potentially 100 people, you can start making thousands of dollars. And then pretty soon you can start making tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands. And I've met people that are millionaires because of Kajabi, which is like mind blowing. Myself as an entrepreneur, to meet another entrepreneur that became a millionaire because of something I created, like there's not too many moments in life where I've been prouder. You know, my children being born, being married to my beautiful wife, but to know I did that for someone else is like, I love it. It's powerful. Yeah. All right. The next P, we got two more. The next one is problems. It's like you have a problem. You got into debt. You went through a divorce. You know, you might have gone through a divorce and learned how to overcome it and still be like myself. I was divorced years ago. How to be a good dad, how to be a good co-parent, how to date again, whatever it is. There's always books on those things, but maybe you know a thing that people really resonate to. Maybe you could help other people. I know that when it comes to debt, this happens all the time. There's all kinds of great courses. My wife has a great course on how to get out of debt. And that is amazing, to turn a power into something you profit from. And pretty soon it starts becoming passion. And here's what I always say. What if the bad shit in life happened to us for a reason? What if it happened on purpose? As soon as you accept that, then those things can become your purpose. Like that shitty divorce or this bankruptcy could become the thing that drives you in your career. And I think it's important to stop and think about that.
It's almost like a way of, sometimes these things happen to us, and sometimes I think about some of those incidents, those things that happen. I thought, this is obviously a test. This is a test to say, yes, how much do you really want this thing? Yes. Yes. Are you really in this game? Are you really committed to this?
Yes. You know, I saw a quote the other day. I'm going to butcher it, but it's about, there's something inside of you that wants you to succeed. And sometimes really bad things happen because you're way off course, or you have to learn this thing, or you have to get tougher or a muscle in this area, like an emotional muscle. And the sooner you can just accept that and find the good in it, the easier it is to endure it. And the more like positive things will start to happen, because if you stay there stuck in that pain, it'll just keep pushing on you. It'll just keep hurting. And we can choose to stop right then and there, or we can push a little further until, wow, okay, I made it past this. Wow, because I went through this, I now can help this person. It creates a lot of momentum. And that comes to the last P, which is pain, like something painful. And typically it was like an injury, like someone lost their voice in college because she partied too much, but she wanted to be like an opera singer. And she literally had ruined her vocal cords. And so she became obsessed on YouTube. How do I fix my vocal cords? And this is the thing, whatever you've been Googling or YouTubing for your own life, that was someone else sharing what they learned from that pain. What if what you learned from this pain and your voice and who you are, which is why the book is called You Inc. What if you're meant to help someone else and you're going through this pain? And then like people had back pain and all kinds of things you can think of. But those are the 4 Ps. Maybe we should go back through them again. I kind of went right through them, but
so we had
super powerful.
We had profession.
And
actually, I think one of your other people you looked at was a mutual friend of ours, Jermaine Griggs, who had he playing music based in and he has a fantastic story, and
it's great.
Every time I see him on Instagram, he's in some fantastic location with his beautiful family as well. But he was a piano player, and he was able to kind of help. I mean, I don't know how many tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of other piano players, people he's taught to learn to play piano.
Yeah, he became a millionaire teaching people how to play the piano, and his is cool because it's both passion and profession.
Yeah.
You know, and his story is incredible because he grew up here in Southern California, in Long Beach, in the hood, where people like Warren G and Snoop Dogg came from. And his parents were like super protective. His grandmother had basically won a piano on The Price is Right. And this is in the book. I tell this story. And she teaches him how to play by ear because I don't think he knows how to read music now, but not back then. And he got hooked on that, and he created hearandplay.com. And by the time I met him, he was a teenager, already making close to $1 million, multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. And he was kind of the guy that I saw, and I was like, what is this knowledge thing? Like, I'd never thought of that you could sell your knowledge in that way if you packaged it right. And he definitely planted the seed in me that later turned into the Kajabi idea. So yeah, I love stories like Jermaine's.
So yeah, the profession, and his obviously touched too, the profession and the passion. And then the problems is just like, it's that 2 a.m. thing you're keeping you awake at night. There's a definite need for it there as well.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's a thing you had to Google to figure out. Like, I remember my youngest son, Connor, when he was in Cub Scouts, he did the Pinewood Derby, which is where they make these little wooden cars and there's like a ramp and they all race down this little hill. And we had searched YouTube like crazy. And for whatever reason that year, the techniques that we got, we won the Pinewood Derby. He has this giant trophy. It was like the coolest experience. And that's an example of learning something that was at first, like, it was a big problem. I was like, man, I'm terrible at this. Your brother never even got close to winning. But Connor's like, we got to win, Dad. We got to figure this out. And that's really why this is important, because every one of us could be a beacon to someone else. Because I think people are like, well, I'm not an expert. Who's going to listen to me? If you've overcome something in a small way, you are an expert at the person that hasn't met that problem yet. I see my own boys, they're playing video games all the time. And my younger son will say to the older son, like, Kyle, how do I pass this level? How do I do that? And then he comes and he shows them. That's all this is taking what you've learned in life and packaging it in a way. And you would be surprised, your personality, who you are, will connect with people. Because you might say, well, there's already a bunch of people doing debt. There's all kinds of experts out there on how to deal with a bankruptcy, but there's only one you. And if you can learn how to package yourself in a positive, authentic way, it can turn into a business. It doesn't happen for everybody. I know it's not like this magic pill, but there are a lot of times it does work, and it's a great thing to try and see what happens.
And then that final one, pain as well. And as I was kind of looking at your kind of backstory, your parents were both teachers, I believe. That's right. As well. So obviously there's a strong kind of teaching, knowledge side as well. But one of the things right at the start of the book, you share a statistic, I think it was 2017, that the e-learning market, which, as we're talking about these things, we think, people sharing about how to, build carts for their kids or stuff like that. But actually, this is part of a much bigger industry, the e-learning business, which is $167 billion, I think.
Yeah, it's insane, because self-guided education is pretty much the future. I think we all see, as people finish college, especially here in the US, going to college, getting in huge debt, and then not finding a job. Like, that old model's broken. And I'm not the first person to say this. Many people have said this, but self-guided or on-demand education is the future. And why not put your flag in the ground and maybe you can be that expert at whatever it is. I mean, there is so many things that we become good at that we have no clue. Like, for example, I was a graphic designer myself, and I was always stuck making people's birthday invitations. Like, whenever a kid has an invitation, they want me to make the Photoshop digital thing. That could totally be a business. And it is. People are on Etsy right now doing that. But maybe you can find an angle where you could teach people how to do it. Maybe you're interesting when you're on camera, or you're good at Photoshop. I don't know. That's what this thing is all about, is getting ready for where the economy and the world is going is a big deal. I think about it all the time. I mean,
and if anyone's watching this and they're saying, well, James Travis, this is great, but this is all, very consumer focused. I don't really work. I'm in accounting, or I'm in finance, or I'm something else. One thing I find really interesting, because you and I, we kind of probably got involved in this world, online learning, kind of at the same time. And I think I may have been one of your possibly earliest customers in
nice.
In Kajabi. I think it was called I was early on something, and then I think you created something called the Founder, which you kind of took people into. I remember very early on. I remember kind of creating things there. And what's really fascinating is after we did some stuff with you on your platform, I then went and advised a number of kind of big universities, big traditional college universities. And one of the things that was very interesting about working with some of them, they were obviously a little bit late to the party. They were coming in and they were catching up, and they're seeing about how to create this online learning for students, even for people that can't physically come to the campuses.
Sure.
And one thing that came on very early was a number of them said to me, James, we need to create agreements for some of these superstar teachers we have, because they're getting so good and they're so in demand. We're frightened that our competitors will go and take them. Or what we're even more frightened about is that they'll go and create their own online academies, online institutes, and things as well. So I remember sitting there looking at these agreements and thinking, wow, these, they don't understand that there's, what's going on. And then take a step even further. I was just speaking about 2 months ago in Singapore for Visa University. They're, the credit card company, and they now have Visa University campuses all over the world. I was in Singapore, I was one in Dubai, New York, London. And what's interesting there is, in the same way that brands, whether it's, you put yourself or Brendan Burchard or whoever, are creating a way of helping people make sense of all the changes and helping them reskill. These big brands like Visa, for example, are now creating universities, not just to teach their own people, their own staff and employees, but actually to teach their customers and their clients.
Interesting. Yeah.
And I thought, wow, this is very interesting, because now if I'm someone that's wanting to learn about digital transformation, for example, or artificial intelligence, who would I rather go to and learn it from? Would I rather go to a university with a professor who maybe hasn't really been so involved in AI, or would I rather go and learn it from Google or Alibaba in China, where they're doing like up-to-date stuff? So it's completely changing this whole market, and it's such a huge opportunity for people that are really passionate about learning and want to get that knowledge across.
Yeah, it's really a shift. And I think back to what you're saying about the universities, like that's the old model, was trying to like keep them into the institution, versus now anybody can become an institution. Anybody can become the platform. And it's crazy that they saw those talented professors and they're like, oh, we have to hold on to them. But that is not the future. I mean, information has now been completely decentralized, and being an expert has become decentralized. There is no more institution defines the expert. I remember, I think it was Udemy, which became a competitor of Kajabi. Now they're kind of in a different space as a marketplace, but they had this whole thing where you had to prove that you're an expert to be able to sell with them at first. And I may be way off on this, but I thought someone showed me this process where you had to prove. And I remember thinking, that doesn't make any sense. Like, people already don't know they're experts at something, but you would be surprised at what you know and how you could help. Like the idea of Visa teaching their customers, it may sound a little bit like big corporate, whatever, but if you think about it, it's pretty smart, because they could teach you how to be better with your finances, how to get a better job and make more money. And then guess what? You would use their credit card more.
Yeah.
And maybe that is the future, is these companies allowing their customers to enjoy their life and grow more, versus the old model of the university and the institution, that the only thing they're growing is their ability to get more money out of student debt.
Something else I noticed as you were building out on Kajabi, you did something which I thought was a really nice. It was a marketing tactic, but also I thought it was good in terms of from a community standpoint. And I'd seen it done. I've seen it done in other fields, but this is the first time I'd really seen it done in your space. Which for example, I was about a year before that, I was talking to someone from Ancestry.com, who are based in Utah, obviously, and Mormons, big kind of, they have a lot of collections of data and information, so it made a lot of sense. And one of the things that they found is someone stays an Ancestry.com member for longer if they can find that first record within an hour. I think that was it. Initially, they started just making, I don't know if you, I never joined it, but the friends of mine that were involved in that business, they said they would hire students from the University of Utah, and their job was, as soon as you registered and made your first payment, they would immediately call you up to help you find that very first record. Yeah. Because they knew it made such a big impact. And I noticed about a year later, you did something, which was you created something called Kajabi Hero.
Yep.
Which kind of had a similar type of effect. So can you tell me like where the idea came from and the impact the idea had?
The idea was a similar like problem we were trying to solve, is why do customers stay? What is it about Kajabi that allows them to stay. And we analyzed everything about, is it they upload a video? Is it they do, whatever? But we're like, wait, no, it's getting sales. And then we realized if we can get them to become a Kajabi hero, the benchmark used to be $1,000. If you could make $1,000, we wanted to celebrate that. And on our end, we wanted to, because most likely you would be a customer forever because you would get hooked on this concept of an online business. And I think that other businesses could use the same concept. Even people that are like, I want to learn how to, start coaching or becoming involved in online teaching. The quicker you can get someone to success, the more likely they're going to stay with you. And there's something about them making money that they celebrate. And it became kind of a gamified thing where people were proud. They had their t-shirts and they would post it. And then eventually there was other levels and there was jackets and hats and things as you kind of kept going up. And it just created all this momentum and competition. But I think a lot of companies should actually focus, what do our customers want and how do we make them successful? And that's all that was, is we wanted to make them successful because as soon as they made money, we knew they were going to be our customers for life.
But it was interesting. I mean, I like we're probably on the same email marketing kind of list, and after a while, I kind of zone out to a lot of it, and so most of it just like I don't really either goes into spam box. I just don't really pay much attention to it. But I started paying attention to that because it was a social proof trust indicator.
Yes.
And more recently, there's a brand here in the UK, or I think they're international now, called Lush. They're like a cosmetics company.
Yeah.
It's really popular. Like teenage girls who go into these Lush stores because these stores smell amazing and it's all really bright colors. And the other day I noticed that they've pulled all of their social media accounts. They've actually made a decision. I mean, they had like something like 700,000 Instagram followers. And they said, we are going to let our users, our tribe, our customers do our talking for us about the brand. We're going to pull completely out of that. And I thought, what a ballsy move.
Yeah.
really brave move to do that. But you were kind of doing, I know you were doing your usual marketing and affiliates and all that usual stuff. But it felt like that was, I could start seeing, oh wow, there's something happening here. There's a larger community.
It was real people, just like the people watching, just like you and me, that were making money and happy about it and helping people. And they would go on social media and brag about what they were doing in a good way. And like, it really encouraged other people to check it out. And this is a trend everywhere else. I mean, if you look at in the cosmetic industry, I saw something, there was some kind of internet special showing how much success Kylie Jenner has had with makeup versus like Maybelline or something that's been around and has a much more established brand. She's making like 100x compared to them because of that personal connection. And anytime you can do that with your brand, where you can create a really powerful story for them to connect to. And these Kajabi heroes, every single one of them had a great story because they pretty much went through the hero's journey. They like had this idea, they wanted to get it online, they helped people, and then they made money. And in our human nature, we love to hear those stories. We love to see those stories. And I think almost every business could probably take that same model and modify it in a way and use it to help grow their business and grow their awareness. But that's pretty bold to take all your social media down, but it actually makes sense because corporate social media sucks.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
No one really pays any attention.
No.
And so
complete waste.
You went, obviously built this big company out, you and your business partner built this, and your team built this very successful company. I got a chance to come into your offices there in Southern California. And then you went through the stage that most successful serial entrepreneurs we're very familiar with, where you exit that business. And exits take all various forms. They take, really happy, like that's great. They take other forms which are more contentious, more difficult. We're seeing, companies like WeWork just now going through a, different thing there with a founder. And I'm not so much interested in talking about what happened, but what I would be interested in just hearing from you is your perspective on when you leave a business, if you built a business up, and when you exit from that business, how that affects your personality, your mindset, when you have devoted every kind of waking hour to something, and what advice you would give to entrepreneurs and also maybe employees who are leaving, maybe being working in corporate America, for example, to start their own things, how you start to reposition your brain because it's a bit of a trauma often. When
it's harder than I thought it would be. I knew one day that I would sell. I just thought it would be a different kind of exit, but basically let me take you into my story, and kind of what happened is, like, myself and my business partner created this business from scratch, no capital, no connections, nothing. And we were able to turn it into basically the premier software as a service in internet marketing. Eventually there was Lead Pages and ClickFunnels and all these other great services. And we built it. It became successful. I eventually was able to hire people to do my job, and I continued to try to be the visionary and to move it forward. But at some point it was clear that, only one of us should probably stay and lead that. And that's how a lot of businesses are. And to transition from that to like realize, okay, I'm moving on, and to sell. And I'm grateful that I sold, and I'm grateful that I have the story to say that, yeah, I sold and I made money from it. It was great. But after selling, it was such a weird anticlimactic experience to where you're like happy, like I got money in the bank, I've got freedom to do whatever I want. But it was almost like a death in the family, because here this thing is that I love and I created, and it's still moving down the street, and I'm just back here. It's like someone kidnapped my child or something, and they still live, and they're happy, and they're with their own new parents, but I'm quietly over here. And that was hard to deal with. That was hard to kind of realize what was next. What was crazy is, because of the book, I went on and promoted the book a couple months after I sold. I was in promoting the book, and I literally went through the book myself, because here I am like, well, what should I do next? Because I'm not the kind of person that's like, oh, I could retire now. No, I have to keep building things. And I went through this whole identity crisis. Like who is Travis? Why did I build Kajabi? And obviously I wrote it in my book, and it really made me think and dig deep, like, what should I do next? And the thing I loved about Kajabi, the thing that would happen when I connected with you and other customers, is Kajabi was a movement. It was a new movement of people taking what they know and turning it into a business. And the stories were incredible. And so here I am, I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do next? Like, what should I do? I don't want to get a job. I don't want to start a different kind of business. And this summer, I realized that the next evolution for me, like, there's a whole nother business that I'm going into, which is going to be business automation for coaches. But to go from sale to almost like a dark period to birth again is very difficult as an entrepreneur. And I know that a lot of entrepreneurs, this can be the death nail, is you're selling, you're moving on. And the things I've learned, and the ability to go back and meditate and have new ideas, it was not easy. But I am grateful for the phase I'm in now, as I can see, springtime coming. I can see the things I planted turning into something great that could become a movement again for myself and for other people.
Because what I've seen other entrepreneurs do when they do those exits is, I've seen some people like Derek Sivers, for example, who, when he sold CD Baby, he kind of went, he did a really beautiful thing, which I think he exited with about 120 million. But the day before he exited, he set up a charitable foundation, and he gave all his shares to this charitable foundation, and all the money went to the charitable foundation. I think it just pays him 5% or a few percentage points a year, because he said, all I need is a laptop and a nice apartment to stay in, and that's it. I don't really need any stuff. And so he's more interested in educational and charitable things. But he went like super minimalist to the point he moves place every year. I think at the moment he's in Cambridge in the UK, but he's just been in New Zealand or somewhere else. So he went that way. Other times I see entrepreneurs, they will go into almost like being a angel type investors and taking lots of plays because they've got a good sense of a particular field, and that can sometimes work, sometimes not. Other times they do it's like being in a relationship and you get breaking up and you go for the rebound relationship, which is not really the best relationship to go for, but you kind of don't want to be seen to be on your own, and that usually doesn't work out very well. And it's actually quite rare that you see a lot of entrepreneurs, they really just take a step back and they ask yourself the questions that you've just been asking of yourself, and going, okay, what do I want to do with this next chapter in my life as well? And it kind of does require kind of going back to those steps, and
it really does, because there was so many things that led me and my partner to come up with the Kajabi idea, and it had been so long I had almost forgotten about how we did that and how it came to me, and the notes I had taken. Like, I literally I've got my notepad right here, and I'm nonstop in here, just like, taking notes and like just keeping track of ideas and thoughts. And it was so good for me to do that again. And, my sale wasn't anything crazy huge, so I could just create a charity, which I love that idea and I want to do that one day. But it was enough for me to take a break and to kind of angel invest my next venture. And I'm so grateful for that, because without that, it would have been a lot more difficult. But to stop and say, what should I do next is important, because I want to find that purpose again. And Kajabi, I had huge purpose. It was incredible. It was like living a dream that I had always had. And I think as an entrepreneur, you need to find that, because it's not just about making money. It's not just about building the next thing or getting the nice car. It's really about finding something bigger than that. And that's kind of what I was looking for again.
And in this new phase, this new chapter, has there been an important insight or aha moment or kind of light bulb where you went, oh, okay, you made an important distinction about yourself or what you wanted to do with this next chapter in your life? Or you just, it was just a little bit of that kind of aha moment that you
yeah, I mean, there was a lot of shifts that happened. I think one of them was selling got me down. Like, it really got me depressed. I started to lose my identity. I started to forget that I created Kajabi, and that was difficult, because that gave me so much drive. That gave me so much vision. And over the years, I kind of, because it was kind of running itself, and I lost that drive. I lost that vision. And there were many moments recently when I was like owning that again, like owning who I am, owning my successes, owning what I had done, and really trying to connect that with this next thing. And it's crazy because, writing You Inc., it was all about taking your knowledge and selling a course. And I totally believe in that. And I think that's incredible. But creating a course is a lot of work, and it's very intimidating. And I kept thinking, well, what is something you can use knowledge? And it's really the concept of you helping a person one-on-one.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has happened recently. It's crazy as I see this app I can build for a coach. And I'm talking like sports coaches, life coaches. Every time I talk about it with anybody in that space, they're like, oh my God, this is the best idea. And it was brainstorming. It was thinking, it was taking what I'm good at and taking those almost like recipe pieces and making that new cake.
Well, fantastic.
It's really been fun.
I'm really looking forward to seeing this when this launches out into the world as well, because you're right. Coaching is a very fragmented type of market. It's always, anytime you see a fragmented market, there's a big opportunity there as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge opportunity. I know it's helped me tremendously. I see coaching help my son in ice skating, and my wife in business, and me in being an executive. Like, there's all these things, and there's a gap there that's missing right now, and I can see it clearly, just like I saw Kajabi. And that's the part as an entrepreneur, you got to get back to that. Get back to the thing that made you successful. And typically it's solving a problem. I mean, Kajabi solved a problem, and some of it we didn't even know we were solving. Some of it we clearly knew. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, can you solve a problem? Usually some of the most successful ones are your own problem. Like, a thing you struggle with. And really think about whatever space you're in, whether you're an attorney, whether you're in the medical field, whether you're a graphic designer, there are probably things that could become a business that nobody's thought of, because we just, oh yeah, that takes forever. You got to upload those files. You got to do that Excel spreadsheet. Well, what if that was an app? Like, that's how things like Kajabi get created, is we took complexity, made it simple and sexy and fun, and it's a business.
It grew.
That's kind of what it all is.
So as we start to finish up here, some final questions for you, Travis. I'd love to know if you were to recommend one tool or app, and your new tool, your new app is not live yet or out in the public, but if you were to recommend one just now that you think has been personally very useful for you, maybe in terms of how your productivity or how you organize your ideas or something else, what would that app be?
Well, I think the first app is the old-fashioned notepad. Everybody needs a notepad, and they need to be spending time every day quietly and asking yourself questions. What things in my life are holding me back? And you need to change those things. And what are my ideas? And boldly write them down. That's a big deal. But here's another app I'm going to suggest, which might be shocking, is YouTube. You need to spend time on YouTube dreaming. You need to spend time doing research in your space, because YouTube has given me so many ideas. In fact, I think that's what showed me what this next app was, just the time I've spent on YouTube. And I know a lot of people are like, well, that's such a waste of time, but you never know. If you're watching things you enjoy and you're realizing, wait, that thing right there, what if I did that? Or what if I created a product for that? It's a great way to do research. I mean, you can access the entire world in YouTube and see what is going on in the economy, in like different cultures. And I think it's super powerful. It can be a black hole.
Yeah. YouTube is one of those ones where the job that I do, I travel to lots of different countries, and like China, Facebook's not really going to work for you, and different ones of Twitter's not going to work for you in this place, and this one here is not really big in the US or Europe. But wherever you go, for example, last week I was driving down a street. I was being driven from the hotel to the airport in Amman, Jordan, in the Middle East. And I just got, myself and the driver, we just got talking about something about learning this particular thing. And he said, "Oh, who should I check out?" And he immediately, as he's driving, calling it up onto YouTube. And we're watching this video from this. And I'm thinking, how bizarre is this? And we're kind of learning together, driving very, very fast to an airport. And it's a very global platform.
Yeah, it's a huge platform. It's open, so it's not hidden behind some big brother Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here as someone that has not utilized it very well, and I need to build my own brand. But there are so many brands I trust, like individuals, because I saw them on YouTube. Like I get caught up in all these gaming streamers. Like there's all these streamers now, and there's like amazing content, not just playing games, but like behind the scenes of some of their businesses. And like that's the future, is the individual becoming the network, which we already know this. It's on YouTube, but there's a lot of people that haven't adopted it yet. Even myself. I mean, I have a book that was a bestseller on Amazon, and I barely have 1 or 2 followers on YouTube.
Maybe the next book should be You Media Inc.
Yeah,
maybe that's the next one. What about if you were to recommend an album to our listeners? What would that album be? A piece of music?
This is the worst. This is the worst because I'm not an album guy. I just listen to music.
Or is there?
Like
are you a Spotify playlist kind of person? Is there a place that gets you in the zone? I know a lot of programmers. They tend to go for like the same type of thing over and over again, and just kind of it gets them in the zone.
Yeah, I mean, there's different. If I'm trying to solve a problem, sometimes it depends. I might listen to more meditative stuff, and I'll just search for like a meditative instrumental. But something I've been doing lately is doing rage beats, and they're just they're like screaming, and sometimes that's what you need because I remember building Kajabi. It eventually was difficult, and that you would have to stay up all night, and I remember like grimacing to stay awake. Kind of like an athlete that has to like dive across the finish line or lift that heavy thing. As entrepreneurs, we have to deal with the same thing. So you have to find that thing that like hypes you up. Like I have a thing here in my office. It's called the rebounder. It's one of those small trampolines.
Yeah.
And that is a good life hack. If you're down on energy, you just go bounce on that for 5 minutes. And you're like, all right, I'm ready to go.
I think that's
energy is
I think that's a Tony Robbins
asset.
One as well. I think Tony
is. I'm a huge Tony fan. My wife and I actually going to Florida to see him in December. So
fantastic. Yeah. So having those little hacks. And so we're going to have some, I'm going to check out some rage beats after this as well.
Yes.
What about a book, not your own book, but a book by another author, either a book that you just found has been very impactful for your life or your work, or a book maybe you think more people should be reading? What would that book be?
Yeah. I think you should open your mind to the concept of you starting some kind of business, because it creates freedom in your life. And the best ones to go with, the obvious one is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Reading that book opened my mind, because I had parents that were teachers, just like in the book. It opens your mind to think beyond the job and the paycheck. The other one was 4-Hour Workweek, listening to that on the beach one time. And that was like, oh my God, this guy has figured it out. And obviously that's an older one. One more good one. And these are the generic business books, but these are the ones that helped me. And the last one is Think and Grow Rich. That book and the idea of conceiving an idea, believing it, and then you can achieve it is literally the secret sauce to business. It seems so simple, but the middle one, believe, is where you really get the magic, because it's easy to conceive an idea, but to believe it enough that you're going to do it no matter what, that's the secret. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, I believe it so much that I will go find that partner. I will go get that loan. I will go to school again to learn how to do it. Like, you believe it at a level that all of your limitations, you're going to get through them. And that's why that part allows you to achieve.
And somehow the universe tends to conspire to help you.
It really does. Well, and it literally is going to start with a notepad. Writing it down is literally the first mental step to making it a real thing.
And a final question for you. I'm going to have you imagine, Travis, you woke up tomorrow morning and you have to start from scratch. You probably more than anyone I've had in the show recently would recognize what this feels like.
Yes.
So
no,
you
I
have,
know exactly what this
I'm going to change things up a little bit. So you know no one knows you.
Yep.
But you have all the skills, all the knowledge that you've acquired over the years. What would you do? How would you restart things?
YouTube, for sure. In fact, that's what I'm going to be doing over this next quarter is myself getting my brand on there, telling my story, because there were so many inspirational things that helped me in YouTube, especially when I kind of went dark for a while and I needed to just kind of go internal. There were so many things on there. Even Tony and Robbins and different people, those stories were important. And I would go there and I would just start telling my story. And I think about this all the time because this is what I went through. My boys play Minecraft all the time, and there's this one like little plugin or game in Minecraft to where you're basically, you start on a block in the middle of the sky, and if you go off the block, you die. And there's like a tree, and there's a bucket of water, and basically you have to go from there. And there's all these strategies to get yourself to build an entire world. And that really is what we have. You need to look around you and look at your resources. What do I have? I have a pen and paper. I have a bottle of water here. I have a computer. I have the internet. Really take inventory of your skills, because if you're watching this or listening to this, you're already way ahead than most of the world. I mean, you were talking about how much you travel, and I've been to Africa, been to places where they have no chance compared to us that are, in the Western world, let's say, or have the ability to have bandwidth to watch this. You have no excuse. There's literally no excuse. There's no, I don't have enough money. I don't know enough people. Well, then fix that. You can do it. You can meet more people. Like the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. No, it's both. You need to get good at something, and you need to get to know a lot of people. And when you do that, you're going to find success.
And talking about success, where is the best place for people to go to learn more about this book so they can get their own success? They can start to get their knowledge out into the world and really start building a business that's going to give them joy, and it's just going to do what they want it to do for them. Where's the best place for them to go and learn about you and the book?
Yeah, I mean, the best place to get the book is on Amazon. I would recommend going on there, getting it, reading it. Definitely write me a review. I appreciate that. I know you'll like it because I've heard such good things that people have said. It's an easy read. It's simple. It's like a Gary Vaynerchuk read. You'll get right through it in a weekend or a couple hours. Do that first of all, and then just find me on social media. I'm on Instagram, Travis Rosser. Facebook, I'm on there. I actually reply to my messages. So if you got a question, shoot me a message. I will reply to you, and I will answer it. I mean, people helped me, so I'll help you if you need something. So cool.
Well, Travis, I wish you all the success of this next chapter of your life and in your business. Look forward to hanging out together soon. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing all about your creative life.
Thank you. This has been great.
If you're interested in living a more creative life, then I'd love to invite you to join me as I share some of the most successful strategies and techniques that high-performing creatives use. I put them all together in a free downloadable ebook that you can get by going to jamestaylor.me. That's jamestaylor.me to get your free downloadable ebook on creativity.